All right. Welcome to the Never Ready podcast where I like to deep dive with various creatives or people doing anything for themselves, and dive into the topic of why I named this company Never Ready, because I personally myself had various excuses throughout my life, was never really ready, always was waiting on the next thing. So I like to talk with various people about what helped them to overcome that. Today I got Blayd Law with me, one of my best friends, a very talented musician, plays literally every single weekend. We recorded.
It's a weird way to say asshole.
Yeah. He's got 30 plus songs out. We release consistently. He's shared stages with the likes of Arkansas and the Hillbenders. It's been overall doing some stuff here. Anything else?
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been fun. We were doing a crappy job together, swinging hammers, and the guy was like, "Hey, man, just quit being dumb. Let me manage you." And for a while, he's kind of passed it on to me a little bit more recently. That's probably why I haven't had as many songs come out. But
No, good. But you're leading already into my first topic here, which is give us a little backstory on who you are, where you were, what you're from, not necessarily town, but you can go into that too, but like life, and then like what was it that made you never ready, or you know what I mean, or what, and then the initial like change there. But first, let's start with like backstory. Where were you and what were you coming from before that?
man, it's been a long ride,
Beautiful ride.
Yeah, family came from crap. I came from crap. You know what I mean? I don't know. Drug addict families, stuff like that, and that in itself gives you an excuse right there. There's something you can always fall back onto.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I could just go get fucked up instead. You know what I mean? But at some point, you just gotta not.
That's your frame of reference, what you've witnessed.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all the more reason right there, even just barely diving into your backstory, there's a reason that most people, or a single excuse most people would just put on themselves and never go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've just barely even started talking about your life.
Well, I mean, everybody's got excuses.
Yeah, that's the point.
Everybody's got excuses. Some people are better than others, but I don't know. After that, I was kind of that drunk guitarist, musician. Just couldn't really, guy that starts 10 songs, never finishes one.
I used to refer to you as the campfire singer.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
Very much the vibe.
It's a very good. I mean, that's exactly what it was. Yeah. I was just playing for a bunch of drunk guys, and you're good to drunk guys no matter what. So
yeah. Well, you've always been good. Don't discredit that.
Yeah,
but, I mean, you can always get better. But
yeah. Being able to finish whole songs, that's a big one. You know what I mean? Without forgetting the lyrics, that's man. I can't tell you how often I was guilty of that because I was always, getting up on stage whenever I was messed up on one thing or the other.
That's the thing too. Like you weren't, like you'll put a lot of credit into me, but you were already like you still played shows, you still did stuff. You know what I mean? Wasn't taken like seriously. That was the only difference I really made.
Stages were smaller.
Yeah. Well, we made it a job. We had to get rid of people that weren't taking it as seriously as us.
We had to develop professionalism. Man, that was a big thing. And now it warms my soul when people are like, "Wow, you seem so professional when you're doing this," or like just talking to you after you're done and we're just speaking, money. You go straight from happy guy to like, okay, so this is what we need to discuss. This is how things are, or from the second I get there until I get done setting up or whatever,
Except for a long time, you were the guy who was happy to play for a bar tab.
Yeah.
Like that kind of a career, which, I mean, it's fine if that's what the people want, but you've always been somebody I know has wanted more than that.
Yeah.
But let's get a little bit more in depth. Like, where were you before we started all this? I mean, I know, but nobody else does. What was your life like even just, probably almost 3 years ago now we started all this, but what were you, mentality, everything, like what was life?
Man, I didn't give a shit. That's
Been there.
Simplest way to put it. I did not give a shit about myself, about anything, because, shit, man. When you're not doing what you're supposed to do with yourself at all in any shape, way, or form, how the hell are you ever going to be happy with yourself or everything, So, I mean, drunk. That's where I was. I was drunk, man. I was drinking every night. But, I mean, I guess I still went, I still woke up and went to work. Not, 8 to 4, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, just severely depressed. Hated most things and just not ready not ready to accept that music, following your dreams is still an option.
What were
no matter what your age is, following your dreams is still a fucking option.
There's even one there, you mentioned age now, but like what were all the things that you had in your mind that made you think it wasn't possible?
Oh, dude, the way you grow up like that, you know what I mean? Like never thinking you're good enough. You know what I mean? That's a big one. That's a huge one.
I felt that.
Like never feeling like you're worth enough. That's, God, when your family chooses drugs and alcohol your entire life, your entire childhood over you or over a positive lifestyle or a positive childhood for their children, you know what I mean? All of that leads you to believe that, well, if I wasn't good enough for them, why am I good enough for the world? For what I want to do with myself. And I say want at this point. I've accepted that. It's not even a want thing. It's I have to do this because that's who I am. I'm not that guy. I'm not where I came from. That's a shithole.
Yeah. Forgive me if I'm speaking for you here, but that's one thing I know we've talked about a bunch about you being it's very important that we show your kids that it's possible to follow their dream rather than the way you got as an example.
100%.
Which was, I'll just go get fucked up rather than, and reinstill in my kids. One of your kids, love both your kids to death. Draven is so back and forth. He's like, I want a guitar, and you bought him a guitar. Or I want a banjo, got him a little banjo. I want a ukulele, got him a little ukulele. Doesn't play any of them, got a little keyboard. He's like, but whatever he wants, you give him the option. You know what I mean? Which is very supportive and good.
I don't mean to just talk foul about my family because my dad had morals. It's not like he didn't. My mom had.
No, I love your dad. Even your mom. They're crazy people. I love them to death, but they have their own way of life that
and they're getting
doesn't
better
fit
now.
us.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I guess age will do that to you though. But
not everybody. So I mean, it's good that it is affecting them that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your dad in particular, man, he's turned a lot around.
You were talking about how I'm always there to support him as far as musically goes. That was my dad. There wasn't a time in my life where there wasn't an instrument in my bedroom. It didn't belong to me, but it was mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want that to be misinterpreted either, though, is that you're pushing your kid into music. It's like anything that he wants, or either of them want, you support that.
Wants to be a track star, so I make sure that I show it. Well, I missed one because
work, life happens, things happen.
But other than that, I've been to every one of those, and I support him completely. He was wondering why his friends are starting to get faster than him. I said, practice. You know what I mean?
You play video games all summer.
Yeah, man. You played video games all summer. Your friend was out there running his dad's field every single day because that's what he wanted to do. And that's the kind of drive. That's the kind of drive you need starting your career, following your dreams. That kid wants to be a track star. He spent his entire free summer, that he could be doing whatever he wanted to. What did he want to do though?
Play games, man.
But his friend wanted to be a track star, so he was there every day doing what he's supposed to. Just like if you want to be a musician, a successful musician, you've got to be in the studio or you've got to be writing. You've got to be in the studio every day.
We were just talking about earlier. I think Ed Sheeran said it best. You want to be a good songwriter, write a song every day.
Every day.
By the end of the year, you got 365 songs, and you've got a lot of the crap ones out of the way. You know what I mean? You're just practicing, getting better.
And we all fall, especially starting, we all fall guilty of slacking. You know what I mean? Oh my God. We're not going to be able to pay the electric bill. Somebody's got to go to work. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way that it is. But you've got to make time. You got to make time.
That's another one of the excuses I had is like, I have to go to work. I have to pay all my bills. I have to do all this stuff. And honestly, without us collabing together the way we have, neither of us would be nearly as far because we
There's
both
no
share
way.
that load, you know,
There's no
and
way.
especially in today's day and age, like it used to be single or not a single, like a single income household could have an entire family, 2 kids and a married couple
One
and a new
income.
new car and yeah, all that on a nice house, like mortgage, all on one income. You at least have to have the two now.
Minimum wage, even.
Yeah,
Like,
you'd be doing fine. But the world we've grown up in compared to that, I mean, obviously we have our benefits too that weren't there for them, but like it's twice as hard. So like there's 4 of us here working together as a team, and without that, and we can't take that for granted. I know it's for anyone listening that's like by yourself trying to do it. Best thing I can say is start looking for a community, but the best way to look for a community is to just start doing the thing you want to do. We talked about it in the last episode that all Tara started doing was posting videos of herself singing. And this dude reached out to her like, hey, you want to do some stuff? And then she came over here. Now she's in the studio. They're doing shows. And it was all from her just taking a chance, being confident, and posting a video of her in a bathroom singing or like in her car singing. So just start doing that, and it becomes easier to find the people. If you wait on trying to have a team before you ever start, then you're never going to build that team. Like the people who want to be part of your team are already doing something. They will
come.
Exactly.
We've heard it our whole lives.
Literally, and just do the thing you feel you're meant to do, and the people that are supposed to be around you will be around you.
Absolutely. And not to say that there aren't going to be, for the better word, shitheads. You know what
Snakes
I mean?
in the grass. There's always snakes in the grass.
There's always going to be
but
that.
That's,
was it snakes slither in the grass, or what snakes in the grass try to slither fast, but you got to buy yourself a lawnmower, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we were just talking about how you're like it's important to set an example for your kids, but what was more? I know we've lightly touched on it, but what were more of the examples in your life?
That wasn't even a thing to start. I mean, their mom had custody of them, and I had no way of even trying to achieve.
You weren't in a position to fight for that.
Not even.
I mean,
close.
always willing to fight, but never in a position.
I mean, not just because I was trying to drink myself to death. It seems like, but
I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Never seeing them, yeah, man. I mean, that'll hurt you. But man, pieces just started fitting together. I started and that's the thing. Again, you build it, they will come. We started doing what I was supposed to do. A lot of people think, and we've talked about this a lot, being best friends, that we've had this conversation more times than I can count. But, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I'm talking about building it and they will come and doing the right thing and all your life starts working out.
Yeah, exactly. So once I started making those steps towards, like, for those people out there that think, oh, I'm a failure, I'm working this 9 to 5. I've had 37 jobs since I turned 18 and I'm 22. You know what I mean? Like, you're not a failure. You're doing the wrong fucking thing. You know what I mean? I was just simply I've had more jobs than I can count, dude. I mean, because I do it and I'd get excellent. And it's not that I was a shitty worker. I'd get great at it. But then you just get so bored. You just get so bored, and you can't even make yourself show up because you're bored to death. You hate your job. You hate your life. Man, you just got to figure out it's never too late to follow your dreams, man. It's never too late. And it doesn't have to be your entire career. It can be where you make money on the side. You just have to follow your dreams to make yourself happy.
Man, you don't even have to make money on it, honestly.
Yeah,
if what makes you happy is like, I want to.
Well, the reason I say that is because, well, I mean, that gave me the opportunity to back away more from
the stuff that was making
me miserable. Yeah, because I could I found that I could. We found that I could this would be a tangible.
It could be your living.
Yeah, tangible living off of just.
Even
music,
without being the biggest in the world, you can make a living.
Absolutely.
You can play 2 or 3 shows in a week.
Record
your stuff throughout the week.
One show a week and busk. Just go out on the streets and play. Get your permit. I encourage you to get your permit because they'll tell you to leave. But get your permit. Bust 2 or 3 days a week, and 1 show a week. You play 1 gig a week. Even let's say that you don't have it, like, because I play a lot of duet acts with my partner. Say you don't have anybody else. $100 gig. Dude, if you're by yourself and you're a single guy, you got $150, $200 gig, and you're busking and you're making on crap days, I average $30 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with no equipment.
Mm-hmm.
That's with nothing.
It's more than most people make.
You spend 3 hours, 3 days a week. That's $400 or $500 right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's a small
It's
apartment.
a lot of people's minimum wage check.
Yeah, exactly. That's a small apartment, and I promise you, you'll be cleaning that little apartment with a smile because you're doing what you want to do. And it doesn't have to be music. Doesn't have to be anything even close to music.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a friend that's, also a musician and doing it musically, but he paints. He's an amazing artist.
He's the first episode of this podcast.
Right.
Yeah, Funk.
Dylan Funk. Man, that guy's an amazing artist. And he's using that and selling his paintings and stuff and his artwork to help him along as an artist musically too. So it's like he's playing it off of, dude, that guy's smart.
That guy's always been the guy, though, that very much follows his dream, follows his goals.
Absolutely.
He's never had the excuse, pretty much. He's always been the one who's like I was never ready, and I've called this never ready. He was always ready. Didn't matter. And it's very inspiring to see people like that.
Where'd you get your camper?
Yeah. No, we talked about that in the episode. I own my home because of that guy.
Yeah.
And just very much. But it's so hard for so many people, I feel like, to have that kind of mentality. Most people are just excuses. And it's almost the smarter you are, the harder it is for you because it's way easier to justify all your excuses. But,
yes and no. Yes and no. You see it on both sides. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So there are plenty of sheep in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of sheep in the world. You see, around here, the stereotypical, I guess in the city it would be the cubicle guy, right? Like the guy that's always in the cubicle. That's what he does. He sports he shows up 9 to 5, cubicle, home,
just
dinner,
office job,
blah. Right around here, it's
we have both examples. Your old lady was the office job.
Yeah,
she was that. You were the
construction
the
guy.
blue collar guy.
Here, really, it's farming. Let's be honest with you.
Yes, agriculture, anything like that.
Oh my God, dude! All these guys with their
one of the first jobs we did together was building a pole barn. It's
cattle. That's the big thing around here. Whether you're doing it for fun or cattle and property, man. That's the big thing around here. They wake up early. They're sheep. They're sheep, just like the animals that they're growing. They're sheep, man. But
unless that's particularly what you want for your life.
I guess
if to each their own.
Teach their own.
If like my family, they're all farmers, man, and they love it. They're very much just farmers. But that type of job in general, if you get it up good enough, it becomes very much like a self-employed thing.
Yeah,
you live at your house and work at your house. You do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you
want.
Take
care of your crop or take care of your animals.
Take care of your animals, and you got the whole day.
But around here though, that is the stereotypical. You fall into working for the farmer or working for the construction guy.
And I say that because again, we build their stuff.
Yeah.
I have in the past. They complain about everything, man. They've been pissed off since they woke up.
A lot of people are born into it too, though.
Yeah.
You're born into the family ranch, and you keep it going, and that's all you know.
But that's what we're talking about, though, right? You got to break the cycle. Hell, I grew up with drug addicts. I didn't want to be that.
Yeah. Well, but you see how easy it is to fall into it, because even before this, you were very much the alcoholic, and that was like the first part of your drug addict parents,
Yeah, alcoholism. Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Even
when they were sober off the drugs, they'd drink for a little while, and they want to do something a little more.
I know countless. I have.
Dad's on a 2-week drunk, and he decides he wants to stay up for 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I know many people, including family, that are like the beer is their water. Yeah. And then if they're drinking, it's liquor and all that. But it's just
construction workers, man. That's very guilty of that. So the second that they're clocked out, I can think of a guy that I work with right now. Mm-hmm. That when he gets done, he walks as soon as we're clocked out. He goes to his cooler.
9 out of 10 of the guys we worked with in the past 10 years
I know a guy that works
like that.
Concrete right now that wakes up, drinks half of a 44 ounce, and then fills it back up with whiskey, and then goes to work.
Yeah, I've worked with countless people that are putting whiskey in their coffee first thing in the morning to go do those kind of jobs. Yeah. Which that's just like, I always wonder if it's
who is that person?
If that choice has led to where they're at, or if where they're at has led to that choice. You know what I mean? It's were they supposed to be doing something else and they know that, and they're locking themselves in and trying to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Who are they anymore? Honestly, they don't even know who they actually are. They're at this point, the person you're seeing all the time is Jim Beam, or you're seeing Jack Daniels. Mm-hmm. Who are they though? Mm-hmm. Who is that person really? Because they're never sober.
Yeah.
That's not who they are. They're a drunk.
Mm-hmm.
The person that they actually are is under all that somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we had to dig around to find, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and both of ourselves, you know what I mean? At some point, had to dig around and find, well, who's that person that's underneath all this shit?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they at? Let me find them. Let me
Yeah.
love them for a little while.
Dude, growing up, I don't even want to say just around here. I feel like it's everywhere that it's just the natural thing. Like, I did more drugs and drank more through my teenage years than I've ever done in my adult life because it was just normal. It was like what
Lift off.
everyone was
No,
doing. Yeah, we made a whole song about it. That one in particular was drinking for me. But yeah, no, I've done so many things that like you
Bro,
would never think.
we've had a friend that you didn't even think existed because you were on drugs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because the
bad.
whole time you guys were hanging out, you thought that,
Mhm.
you know, that was life. And then he was gone and you were sober.
Yep, and yeah, he ended up getting in some trouble, and all of his stuff was deleted, and I didn't see it for about 6 months, and I was sobering up and really starting to question whether or not he was really there, or I was just at all
and
these
he wouldn't
events by
even
myself.
ask you.
I wouldn't say it to nobody.
Wouldn't
I
talk to
would
me
never
about it.
mention his name. I would say nothing. I'd just be like, nope, I'm
We
doing my
could have
thing.
confirmed that
Everybody
you
probably
know,
thinks I'm
he was
depressed
real.
because he left, and I won't ever mention him.
Chase, we love you, buddy. By
Yeah,
the way.
sorry, dude. I was no, I still talk some here and
Yeah.
there, but.
For sure.
Yeah, no, it's so normal, and it's so polar opposite from where my life's at now, you know, but everything really changes more when you just make the decision of like, this is where I think my life should go, and it's not that. Like, you decide what you don't want and what you do want, and that changes a lot of things.
Losing people.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
I don't
We
do a
both
lot.
lost our best friends,
Hmm.
you know, and that's
Yeah, and I'm stuck with what's left.
Yeah, well,
I'm just
tell me
kidding,
about
I'm
it,
just
dude,
kidding.
because, I mean, let's be honest. I was never the greater. I mean, I taught him how to play, but when it came to being a vocalist, like, man, Sam had a country voice that nobody could touch.
Yeah, no, he was a great musician.
He was supposed to make it, you know.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. Anyways.
No, I don't know. I bet if you asked him back then, he'd probably said the exact opposite, though.
He did.
You know.
He did. That was always, oh, man, whatever, you know.
But you even lost him to that same lifestyle we're talking about, man. Like, he's
Absolutely.
just one of the ones that wasn't able to pull himself out of it.
Shit,
And
he didn't make it to the 27 club, man.
Oh,
I know.
yeah. It's sad. I mean, I lost both my friends not from that lifestyle, but both before we were ever. I was 22. No, I was 22, because, yep, it was just a few months after I turned 22 that I lost my best friend. It was a couple years prior, 2 years prior, that I lost my other best friend. He took his own life, but man, that'll change you quite a bit, you know.
Someone that you've had right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Right
Still
there.
the first
ride or
person
die.
I would want to text on every time anything goes on.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Shit, I hear, what's that? The Reckoning,
mm-hmm.
Whiskey Myers.
Mm-hmm. Great song.
It's a great song. And it's about his wife that passed away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, dude, we shared a bed together because, you know, fresh out of high school, we couldn't even afford our own place.
Mm-hmm.
So we shared a bed together and we got our own place together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that song hits me hard every time. The song, I can't even perform the song that I wrote about the guy. I played it like twice out in public, and it just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you get to crying, and that's embarrassing on stage, man. I mean,
No, it's pure.
maybe, but when you squeak because you can't see the damn song, it's
Yeah.
not that pure. I mean, it's
when
pure,
you're getting
but
paid to come, you know, be music for the crowd, you know, I can see how that would be a little bit harder, depending on the stage and the
yeah,
venue,
well,
you know what
yeah, I mean,
if they're coming for you specifically, and then you give them everything you got. But if they're coming for like depending on where you play, because you know there's the jobs that like you're the bar music in the back. You know, you're not the guy who's like
absolutely. Well, we're not Whiskey Myers yet. People, we're not selling out stadiums. Like, that's the truth, and that's okay. We're working on our way to get there every single day. But yeah, there are moments when we're playing in, you know, like a bar and grill. That's a big one. a lot of the times people are there to eat. They're not there to hear you.
Yeah, you're just they tune in for a song here and there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
They don't want the guy crying on the corner.
Yeah. Now at the brewery where I have performed it though, it was it was a.
You got to gauge the crowd, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely, and they have couches set up there and stuff like that. So it was a lot more like
speakeasies are nice places for stuff. You know, it's depends. Now we're diving more into like the way that the shows go. That's good.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We've strayed, but
it's very much our lives now, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's hard. It's hard not to talk about it when that's what you do all the time. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Let's go to what was the like very much where were you at time wise of everything initially changing, and what was the change that made you switch from being never ready to deciding like, okay, I think I can actually do this with my life.
Well, we had started it already. I just kept you know what I mean. You told me it was possible, and I was like, all right, so I'll do that. Kind of the dumb guy going to the therapist, you know what I mean? Like you tell the smart guy and he's like, but I could do this and this and this, and this is why I'm not going to do this. I was very much so over that, over thinking. I mean, I don't want to say thinking for myself because that wasn't, you just helped push me in the right direction. You know what I mean? But I was very much over that. I was ready to take it. I was ready for the next chapter. You know what I mean? And when the small town promoter called us and said, hey, come up here to the radio station and play that live. They want you up here, please. What was it? 6 hours after we released the first music video that we shot. That right then. That's whenever I was like, okay, it's time. You know what I mean? Like we had a schedule figured out already, and I stuck with it because you told me it was possible, I guess. You know what I mean? And I could see, there were glances of when it was, it's kind of possible. We started playing on local radio stations, and I was like, oh shit, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And which is crazy to me because it was almost 6 months to the day of when you said, hey man, let's follow your dreams. Let me manage you and push you in the right direction. But 6 months to the day when we were getting phone calls to go play live. And then, I mean, as soon as we played up there, the guy, Tim
Tibbs.
Tim Tibbs. Yeah, it was Tim Tibbs. Okay. He was like, hey, can I play your songs? Like, can I go ahead and start playing this? Not just your live version. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was like, no longer was I like, you know what I mean? It was like, you're going in this direction. This is what you're supposed to do, no matter what. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, like, I got smacked in the face with the truth. Like, you're not a failure, dumbass. You're just doing the wrong thing all the time. This is what you should be doing. Quit fighting it. Like, quit headbutting a wall. You're ready.
That's a real good point, though, even about the fact that you even did it before you believed it was possible. You just started making the choices, which I know, like, you had me literally here bitching at you every day.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah, no, you're enjoying it.
It was giving me that almost therapeutic out. Every Sunday I look forward to it. Like, yes, we're going to the studio. I get to go do my thing. Therapy.
Yeah.
But it's some of this shit. And at that time, man, I was going through a huge breakup. Heart felt like it was in pieces. You know what I mean? Thought, oh my God, I'll never see past this. This is who I am now. I'm just this, you know what I mean? Whatever. Being able to go into the studio every Sunday whilst also having my best friend to talk to and help me through it. I mean, I will always thank you for that, man. But
of course.
Having that therapy every Sunday to go pour my heart out, that was big for me.
Man, for people like that, like we're talking about just doing it anyway. Like if you go back and watch some of the first stuff we released on like his YouTube. Pretty much every single video, he's got beer or liquor.
I thought for
like,
a while we might get sponsored by Budweiser.
Yeah, it's like something became the thing. Like there's Budweiser bottles or there's just Jack Daniel's bottles or something in like every single shot. Or there's literally clips of him drinking in the shot because it was just was our life. It was very much like But, to hear him explain, you
You-
just do it anyway.
Musicians
you know
earn that name too. Let's be honest.
what I mean?
They do.
Yeah, it's a pretty common trope, but
We've played at places, even not that long. Just this past summer, we played at it was a motel that had a really nice bar in it. A nice stage, and was it Hotel Seville? By the way, historical landmark. It's been there since like the 30s, 20s, or over 100 years is what it is. Anyways, they the room that they gave us was the closest room to the bar.
they just assume. Everyone just assumes.
I didn't understand until the next day when she explained, "Oh, sorry, if you want a different room, we could have obliged. We just give you that room because everybody's hammered. After they get off the stage, we try to get them as close. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's just a common thing. We've seen it time and time again. We've had
I thought
various
that
people.
was okay. I thought that was especially coming from an alcoholic family. Again, Dad, I love you. I never seen him on stage without being drunk. Never. I've never seen my dad perform without being at least buzzed, not once.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched him. Dude, that's where I started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest. That's where I figured out whenever I was a kid in a childish way that we thought. You know what I mean? Granted, I'm grown now and I'm following the same dream. That's how I figured out that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to bars with my old man, and he's like, I can't do it anymore. Son, will you sing this Bon Jovi song for me? And I'm like, hell yeah, Dad, I'll do your backups. No problem. Fucking want it, no problem. But just getting the start, man. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What were some of, besides like looking back on your family and anything and the kids, because I mean that all comes back to family. Is there anything else that particularly jumps out at you that like specifically made you feel like it just wasn't possible, wasn't something you can do, or does it all stem back to the way you looked at your family?
People are always going to put you down. You know what I mean? That's the truth. And if you never get outside the box, I only ever played for drunk people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you only ever do that, you're only ever going to think you're good enough for drunk people. That's a big thing. That's a big thing, man.
Yeah.
And that leaves you with the excuse. They're like, why don't you do this? And then you're already justifying it in your head. I'm only good to the drunk people. I'm only good enough to play for the drunk people. That's what I've always done. Mm-hmm. Granted, I'm still playing in bars and stuff like that, but hey, I tell you what, I get more compliments from sober people than I do from the drunk assholes anymore, and that's the truth. Mm-hmm. Professionalism, things like that. They're like, wow, we're so glad to have someone who's so professional. That's nice because I'm no longer that guy that's like, hey, thanks, so I gotta get paid today. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, we've seen it time and time again too. It's pretty much the common trope. I know countless musicians still that just play for their bar tab.
I've got good friends that do. You know what I mean?
Like, just if you can decide, that's what the artist. I mean, if that's the goal, if you're happy doing that, living that life, teach their own, do your thing.
Absolutely.
But if you want more for your life, man, you can't be the guy playing for beer.
I work with a guy right now who is a guitarist, but he loves building things with his hands. Mm-hmm. He absolutely loves the fact that he's a construction worker. Loves it. Mm-hmm. Because he gets to make these, create these huge homes for people. This is, and we get those jobs where we're building vacation homes for the overly rich lawyer, governor, whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. But it's when, and he told, we've talked about it because I was just like, dude, bring your dad's got giving you this 70-something Stratocaster. Like, what are you doing? American Strat, like, and you play it. You're good at it. What the hell are you doing? And he's like, we built a house for a couple old people here a couple years ago. And the guy, they'd both been remarried. They both lost their significant others, and then they found each other afterwards. They thought they were going to spend the rest of their life. They both lost them for cancer, he spent his whole life savings, you know, on this house that we're building. And it's not like it was a big, immaculate house, but the fact that we were building these beautiful people a home to spend what they had left, you know what I mean, of their lives. Because they're older. They're definitely older, but that's where he takes all the pride in his work. And I can understand that. I can totally get that. But that's still not the life that I want. Even
not every musician wants to be the number one star in the world, you know?
Yeah.
That's, I mean, a particular goal for you is you want to be a big name, you know? You've always said you want to be a household name like Johnny Cash or
Absolutely.
Led Zeppelin, you know?
That's
like
where I wanna
everybody
be.
knows who they are.
Keith Richards and Johnny Cash, that's where I want to be, man. That's my goals in the end.
Yeah, and just the diving into that and having the confidence in yourself is such a motivating factor.
Dude.
It changes life for you so much.
And you know, I don't like saying this. You'll probably never hear me say this again, but if I don't make it, dude, I've already made it. You know what I mean? I'm doing what I love to do every fucking day. I'm already there.
Yeah, no, you've already won. Every day we've got the studio in your house. We've got, you play shows every weekend. You've got the
Some
musical
weeks
partner
even.
even. You guys get to sing with your old lady every weekend.
I wanted nothing more than to have that my whole life, and then because God knows it is. You got to be careful, you know what I mean? But sometimes, it's not all the time, because there are heartfelt people out there that truly love you for you, and that's why they love you. I've seen it so many times, and I have fallen guilty of it, been a victim of it more times than I can count, you know what I mean, growing up being a musician. Holy shit, when I was 16, my girlfriend said, I wish you would hold me the way you hold your guitar. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to find somebody that isn't artistically, or even artistically inclined that understands that.
Yeah, to have somebody that supports you the way you are. Me and Funk talked about that a lot in the first episode, which you're in our same situation, where we are extremely lucky to have wives the way we do. Like, they're fully support. Like, he was talking about that she will call him out when he's not been artistic in a while, and she can tell he's acting a little different. It's getting to him. She'll be the first to be like, hey, you need to go do some stuff.
You want to know?
You know?
It's crazy, man. It was like our third date. And I knew that she was the one because I was like, hey, I want to blow off the studio and stay here with you. And she said, you're fucking high. Get out of here. You've got shit to do. Go.
No, they believe in you the way you believe in.
That was it right there. I knew right then and there. She may not know this, but I knew.
No, that's beautiful. It's one of the luckiest things you can have. But it all comes back to, like, we talked about it just in our episode earlier we filmed, is that y'all two probably never would have got together if, like, obviously you were diving already into yours, but she had taken the chance to, like, start doing what she wasn't ready to do, just posting videos.
Yeah,
and you hit her up music-wise, Well,
let's get one thing straight with Tara Nicole, okay? That asshole was taking the front row center stage whenever she was, like, as soon as she showed up to our frickin' school when we were kids, And by the way, I've been in love with this girl since we were in, like, the 3rd, 4th grade together. Like, that's but, yeah, no, I mean, we would be doing the Christmas programs or the Thanksgiving, Grandparents' Day, all that stuff. Tara was the one in front every single time. You got a singles part that needs to be done, she's up there. You know what I mean? She's right up front doing it. Mind you, I was not that guy, by the way. I was always trying to kill my voice off with all my friends. I thought everybody could do what I was doing. I didn't know that some people can't even fucking hear tones, like, to completely tone deaf, like not know pitch or tone to save their life. I just thought that's normal, growing up with a family that was musically inclined, though. That's kind of how it goes. Fuck, Pawpaw performed, Dad performed. I just thought that's just the way it was. Some people just didn't want to do it. You know what I mean? Like, some people just didn't have the desire to sing, so they just didn't do it. But no, that's not the case. Especially, the school system, they don't want any kid to feel left out or bad about this. So they tell every kid to sing and participate. But let's be honest, dude. Billy down the way there can't carry a tune in a bucket, but he's still singing his heart out. Like,
you know what's funny? I don't even think I've ever told you. It's funny now, like, looking at who I am. The musical performances for school and stuff. I ended up doing the Christmas solo rap part by myself in front of the whole choir behind me, and I come up in my sunglasses and Santa hat and did the Christmas rap.
Yep.
And now I'm like
sounds right,
making
though.
rap music and stuff.
Sounds right, though.
It's never a mystery where people end up. Like, you can always tell, like, pretty early
if you
on.
look a little harder than just like right in front of your face normally.
Man,
just, you know.
I would completely misquote it, so I'm not even gonna try. But watch, there's a clip on or a Joe Rogan podcast with I can't think of his name right now. The lead singer of the Chili Peppers, it escapes me right now. But he was talking about.
All I can think of is Chad. The
I
drummer.
don't think it was Flea.
Yeah.
But, again, I know that's the bassist, but he was talking about Flea and all that.
The drummers who we think of.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
We're music people.
Yeah, definitely.
We're music people all the way. Like, what's the lead vocalist? I don't know, but we got Chad.
Yeah. No, but he was talking about how his band and how he feels it's never a mystery where people end up. You know, people always end up where they're supposed to. How he was talking about, I think, Flea coming from a broken family, but his father was just a gnarly jazz bass player, you know? And then the drummer was like, he was in the school marching bands and stuff and like that, or I think, and that was what he was doing. Again, I'm not even gonna get too into it because I'm probably wrong on some of these stories, but I know that I just remember it. He was talking about it never being a mystery where people end up if you really just look back and trace back their life. Me even, my grandpa was a DJ for like 30, 40 years. My dad, some of my best memories with my dad are like our youngest memories even are at the end of his parties because my dad was a young father. He had me at 20. We're hanging out in front of the surround sound system at the end of the night, flipping through CD books, just belting songs at the top of our lungs. My dad was very early adopter of using DVR in probably one of the best ways ever. He would record all of the MTV music things when they would like come on in the morning while he's just like cleaning the house, and then he would go through and chop up, like cut out like this song from with this music video, and then he would title it in DVR. So when you go through the DVR at the party, anybody can grab the remote and scroll through the DVR and be like, I remember like he had like Typical by Tickle Me Pink, and then he's got like the Black Parade Teenagers by My Chemical Romance, and I'm like, I'm a kid just loving these music videos, like scrolling through, which makes more sense why you dove more into playing and I dove more into filming them.
I remember the first time I heard an adult listening to teenagers. As a kid, I was
a teenager.
I thought that nothing was sacred anymore. Now I am that adult that jams that song for sure when it comes on. I turn that up.
That My Chemical Romance is doing a Black Parade tour.
Dude,
they're playing that album.
I'm happy to see all the old bands coming back together, doing these rock fests and stuff, man. Like, okay, here's
We
one.
Are Young tour, man, and then the
Dude,
Warped
here's
tour
one
coming
for
back.
me that blew my mind because they lost. I think, I'm pretty sure it was their bassist, and they were like, ever since they started, it was the same guys.
Mm-hmm.
They never replaced anybody. So when they lost a guy, a drunk driver hit it. Okay, the bassist had taken his mom and dad out for their anniversary. Drunk driver hit them head on, killed all of them. Right? They stopped. No more music. Hasn't been put out since like, I want to say 98. And they're going to be performing this year. The band's name is Acid Bath. They, really a lot of screaming and stuff like that. I love metal bands.
Yeah, me too.
So, but dude, and they were like the original, what did they call it? Garbage metal. That's what it was called. Garbage metal. Because the guy's just got a weird voice, but I mean, it's good. It's great. And I mean, even his singing voice is really odd, but it's, dude, not just his screams. Like his regular singing voice is some of my favorite songs that they perform. But it's odd. It is, but it's cool. But glad to see all these bands coming back out anyway.
Yeah. Back to a point you made earlier, you were talking about falling into, or once you started doing what you're supposed to do, all the various things that just start kind of open up for you. Can you further elaborate or even just list out like some of the obvious or like even less obvious changes that like you noticed in your life once you really started following?
We can go with simple things, man. We were cold in the wintertime, right? I didn't own a way to, because we're old school still, you know what I mean? We have a furnace and a fireplace, and that's what we run to keep us warm during the wintertime. I had no truck. Something as simple as that made its way to us because I was making the right decisions. People see me making the right decisions. somebody in my family who's not a shitbag was like, hey, let me help you. You're doing everything right, you know.
Yeah, when you get on the right path, people are more
that
willing
simple.
to help.
And that's just an everyday life thing that we needed. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? I mean, people, okay, all the stuff in our studios.
Mm-hmm.
We bought that because people seen that we were out playing and wanted to hire us to play more.
Yeah, all of it's paid for itself, really. The music has paid for the music.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the house, you know what I mean? Start trying to work towards the right direction. The house is, you know.
Yeah. I say, like, when, just from the outside perspective, when I first moved in here,
I don't want to get shit-faced anymore. That's
no,
a big
yeah,
thing. So
definitely.
I don't even want to. You know what I mean? I
There's a time and a place.
like to get buzzed every once in a while, you know what I mean? But I don't have to drink I don't have to drink a fifth of whiskey anymore to get drunk.
No, yeah, take a shot and I'll feel it.
I can buy a couple of those shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, give me
Dude,
two
yeah,
or
you give
three
me
of those. They're
three,
like,
yeah, 3
how many you
shooters.
want?
I'm good for the
no
night.
more than 3. Come on, like, what do I look like?
Yeah. But just from like the outside perspective, when I first came into the picture here, you were very much an alcoholic. You were, working. I think you were even in between jobs at the time. You had just
I was at a fucking factory, brother.
You were still at Eaton? I
Oh
wasn't
my
sure if you
God,
had left there or not. But you were drinking every day. It was raining inside your house. There's pots and pans everywhere.
Man,
you hadn't seen your kids in like 6 months.
Yeah.
You had a cheating girlfriend who lied about everything that was going on. You're very, very not a happy camper, and
Dude,
you put too much stock into me a lot of times about me, like all I did was bitch and tell you, hey man, you should be doing this. You got to give yourself more credit for the fact that you chose to have somebody in your life that bitched at you for the right reasons. Like, you very easily could have been like, this guy's annoying. This is too much. Fuck you. Get out. But you're like, no, I feel like what he's saying is, what I should be doing. So you stuck with it. Even saying right there, you didn't believe it until you got on the radio. And that was where, after I had told you, hey, give me 6 months to try to help you. And then 6 months later, you're playing on the radio. Not that that's all me. Like, you did all the things. I just tell you, hey, you should do this.
But again, man, I knew I could tell from the first time that I went up there and sat with, go ahead and name drop, but the first time I sat down with you and John in a studio together, I was happier.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You cried first time you heard your voice.
Yeah.
Played back.
Meeting
That's
myself
a beautiful
for the
thing.
first time,
Yeah, that's what you said. But now, you got a nice solid house. You got a good, happy relationship. You got full custody of your kids. Have for like 2 years now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got 4 kids in the house because co-parenting with her.
I have the healthiest relationship I have ever even. Like, again, growing up and shit all the time, you don't really see a lot of good relationships to base your life on. My mom and dad hated each other, stayed together off and on. You know what I mean? It was sometimes he was there, sometimes he wasn't, whatever. But it was really hard to figure out what was right. You know what I mean? That's
all you've been shown is what's wrong.
Wrong. Totally wrong. Oh my God.
I feel like a lot of people are in that position where they've only seen bad examples, The way I do, it's something I want. Don't take advice from people that you wouldn't want their life. Like, a lot of times, man, I feel like sorry if any of you guys are watching this. I don't mean this in a bad way, but when I go to like my family events, sometimes I feel like the deadbeat guy trying to still be a musician or a producer in like late 20s, But I appreciate all the advice or things that people tell me, but if I don't want your life, I'm not going to do the things you did. I want an entirely different life than you. So I'm going to either follow the advice from the people that have the life that I want, or follow the path that I personally feel is going to get me to the life that I want. Nothing against the people that try to help. Most people are just trying to help and think that their way is the only way. It's not necessarily the case. You just, don't take advice from people that you don't want their life.
Quit mansplaining everything, okay?
Yeah, quit telling other people what you think they should do and tell them they should do what they want to do.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Your life's too short to not do what you want to do, man. You end up on your deathbed regretting the things you didn't do, not all the bullshit you did.
Or even worse, you had no deathbed and you're just gone. And you got 30 seconds while you're dying to think
if your
about
life
all
flashed
the
before
shit
you right now.
do. That's what fucking scares me,
yeah, dude. If you died right now in your whole life.
You get shot because you're hanging out. We live in Missouri, just for anybody that's watching this. You get shot because you're hanging out in Springfield busking, and you got 30 seconds to think about what the fuck you've accomplished in your life while you're laying there bleeding out. Mm-hmm. Honestly, 4 years ago,
Yeah.
If it happened today,
Mhm.
different,
Literally.
different.
I try to live by that. I
man.
play with time a lot in my head. Like, if your life flashed before your eyes right now, would you be happy with that, with what flashed before your eyes? Because if the
Yes, I
answer
could have
is,
done more, but man, you're working on what you're supposed to be.
yeah,
At
if the
least.
answer is no, like, you're doing something wrong. Like, you need to be, like, right now, I'm content. I'm happy. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'll get there when I get there, or I won't. But either way, every day I get up and do what I want to do with my life. Like, I'm working towards the goals that I have put on myself, not
Hell
the
yeah.
goals that society is like, hey, you need to go to school, go to college, get a job, get a wife, get, the family, have your mortgage, have all that. Great if that's what you want, man.
No matter
But
what they say, they're jealous. By the way, I don't give a shit what they tell you. They are fucking jealous that you're following your dreams.
yeah,
And if
no
they're
matter
not
what
doing
your
it,
dream is,
if
man.
they're not doing it, if they're not following their dreams, they're fucking jealous, dude. And they're gonna tell you to do all these things that they're doing that's making them fucking miserable, so they can see you be miserable too.
Yeah, we talked about that in the last episode. That most people, it's part of why it's so detrimental. I feel like for people to get out of their own hometowns.
Misery loves fucking company, dude.
Absolutely, but people, like other complainers, just want to listen to complainers. But
Yeah.
people from your hometown, man, like they see
let's all
you
just
doing
go
good.
hang out in the bar and talk about how shitty everything is.
But people in your hometown, they see you doing good, and it's just gonna make them feel bad because they're from the exact same situation. They went to the same school as you, got the job at the same factory
made
you
better
did out of
grades
school.
than I did. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and you're following your dreams, so it can be off-putting to the people that aren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But those aren't the people you're trying to hit, and those aren't the people you need to listen to. You need to, honestly, don't listen to anybody. Listen to what you think you need to do, and then just do that, man.
Take some mushrooms. Figure out what you want to do.
Yeah. I wouldn't. That your own accord. I'm with it, but I get what you're saying. No, I mean,
every once in a while you need
it's
a
helped
good
me
reset.
quite a bit,
Bro.
But to each their own.
Come on.
No, you really just that is just a tool for self-reflection.
Absolutely.
If you have the
100%.
ability to self-reflect, like, you really need to evaluate your life,
dude. Meditation. That is it. I mean, forget the mushrooms. Meditation. You need to sit down, complete quiet, and you need to think about you. Figure out what you want. What is in the notebook? What do you want? What do you want? Like, seriously though, like, what do you want? To hell with what everybody else around you is saying, well, we want this, well, we want that. No, fuck that. What do you want? And you just keep asking yourself while you're meditating the same question. What do you want? What do you want? Where do you see yourself? What do you want?
You'll come up with an answer eventually.
You'll come up with a decent
It might not be the one you thought it'd be. Typical practice I make everybody I work with do, I know this probably isn't entirely for me. I grew up as a teenager listening to so many motivational speeches and stuff like that. I was just always in my headphones listening to that. So I don't know who entirely this original idea comes from, but it's stuck with me, and I've made pretty much everyone do it, and I do it myself. Take a piece of paper, put your name on the top of it, write down everything that, like, if this was the end of, like, if you're playing a video game and you know that you cap your character out at level 100, what is that character going to be? Like, what is that, everything that you're going to have there before you no longer can level up? Take that piece of paper, put your name on it, put every single thing on that piece of paper that is true to who that person is. And it doesn't have to be like you're the greatest musician in the world. It could be, I'm a good father, I'm a good mother, I'm a good, I show up on time, I'm consistent, I don't lie. Or you go fully into depth of, I'm the biggest artist in the world, I do all this.
Dude, and
But
you
fill
can
that
have
piece of
two
paper up.
faces.
And if you don't, if it's not on that piece of paper, if it's not true to who you're trying to become, don't do it. Just set yourself a guideline of, who am I? Who do I want to become? And then be true to that. You know what I mean?
And if it is a musician thing, that could be your stage person. You could be literally writing out, who do you want society to see you as? Because on this other piece of paper that represents you at home as a separate person, you can totally write down everything you want to be. Like, like you said, good father, always, ready to do, take care of everything at the house, whatever.
Whatever it may be.
But this here could be, you can have two separate things to keep your life separate. That's totally doable.
Oh, that's really common in the music industry. A lot of people will create their character.
Yeah.
Which is, it's fine. It's totally respectable.
That girl from Springfield.
Yeah, the Chapel Roan doing fantastic right now. She, I feel like, I don't know her personally, so I'm just going off of what I've seen in interviews, but according to her, Kaylee and Chapel Roan are two heavily different people. Which is fine, dive into what you want to be. Allow yourself to be who you want to be. Create that character. Follow that. But, whether that's who you are in every day of your life or if that's who you are in your persona. If you have a persona, I would recommend doing. He said have your separate. Who like these are my guidelines as a person. Morally, I will not cross this. This is the character I'm building. But the clearer your image is on who you are and where you want to be or where you want to go, a lot easier it'll be to get there. You can't get somewhere if you don't know where you're going. You're just aimlessly walking.
Sometimes I have to tell myself, stop acting like Lawrence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's honestly become
Stop
our
acting like
our
Lawrence,
little
dude.
diss here. When he's slacking off, I'm like, feel like I'm working with Blayd Lawrence again, not Blayd Law. But it works. It strikes the nerve, to the point of making him realize
shit,
exactly
you're
what
right.
I'm saying.
You're right. I'm not acting.
We're
like
real
the
close,
guy.
so I can shit talk.
I'm not acting like the guy that I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm acting like
But everybody
the guy
needs a reset.
that I used to be.
And if you're not somebody who can reset yourself, then you need to surround yourself with people that'll keep you on that. Keep you on top. The way he said he first started dating his girlfriend, that's how I knew she was the one. She told him, "No, you're not. You're not gonna stay here and be Blayd Lawrence. You're gonna go to the studio and be Blayd Law." You know what I mean?
Straight up.
She respects and follows his goals, and you'll find people like that in your life. My wife's the same way.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Go
My wife's the same way. She would never ask me to change. I told her when we got together and when I married her, I only got 2 stipulations. 2. That's it. Don't break my trust, as in don't cheat on me, because I won't sit around and stress about every time I'm not with you, is my wife running around, Never, I won't do that. And then don't ask me to give up on my goals. Don't ask me to give up on what I feel I need to be doing with my life, because I just will end up resenting you down the line, it'll get to that point where I feel like I gave up because so-and-so wanted me to. And instead of looking inward at myself and thinking, I'm the quitter, I'm going to be like, they asked me to quit. It's their fault. And I don't want that. It's not going to be good for the relationship. So, I'm the same way with any friendships, man. If I got friends that are discouraging of what I've got going on, or like, man, you just need to go back to you need to start your tile business back up. You're doing great. I'm like, probably not going to hang out with you much. Sorry. I know you're coming from a decent place of thinking financially I was doing a lot better, but mentally I was doing a lot worse. So you got to know what you really want for your life, and then make sure you surround yourself with people that will support that goal and dream. So me and him are both lucky in these instances to have partners that support fully on what we do.
Absolutely. There's been moments recently. I don't want to talk about much of it because it's my business, you know what I mean? But there have been moments recently where I was thinking maybe I'm not doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Maybe music was too much for me.
Mm.
And she had the look of disgust in her face, man. I'm just like, what are you even like?
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck am I talking to? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you get there sometimes, especially when and I've watched interviews and all kinds of stuff. The money isn't what makes it. So you're gonna feel that way down the road as a fame, with fame, fortune, everything. That doesn't make it, dude. It's you. Mm-hmm. You're the one that makes it. You're the one that keeps you healthy. You know what I mean? And making sure that you do have partners, or making sure that you waited long enough to find someone that deserves you and that you deserve. You know what I mean? Shit, man. You can't date for looks, man. I was so guilty of that. So guilty of dating for looks. You think she's pretty on the inside because.
That's not shit talking his new old lady now, by the
No,
way.
God, no, she is.
She's like, I started not dating for looks, and it got good.
My God, she is gorgeous. She's absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah,
That's
just make
not
sure
it
to
at
throw
all.
that in
But I was looking for something more than just that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, when I showed up at her house, I was a friend looking to hang out, nothing.
Do some
more.
music or something.
Nothing more than that. Granted, I'd crushed on her our whole lives, but she'd never even looked my way as far as that goes. You know what I mean? She's very much.
Well, you weren't who you're supposed to be. The second you were, things kind of changed.
Yeah, that's
And taking responsibility for your own life, I feel like, is the biggest thing that'll change it. Is accepting that exactly where you are is entirely your fault.
No matter what, the good and the bad.
Yeah, people take that as a very negative thing, of being like, all the shitty stuff in my life is my fault. Yeah, it is. But all the great things that have happened to you or the people around you that you've been involved with is your fault too. You chose to either hang out with the degenerates or to hang out with the people that support you. You chose to, be a degenerate or be a good person. You chose to either have the kids or to not have the kids.
Absolutely.
Every single thing in your life that has happened has come from a choice you've made. So it's your fault, good and bad. The second you can accept that and get over it, the second you can make the choices to realize I'm going.
But
the
what
right way.
about when so and so did that to me?
Excluding when you were fucking
No,
3
no,
or 4, like other than that,
you know what I mean.
you,
You're
yeah,
like, yeah,
no,
but
that's
you chose to hang out with so and so, right?
exactly.
You chose to put yourself in that position.
Mm-hmm.
But they did me dirty and da, 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 da. Yeah, but you knew what kind of person they were, kind of. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
you got to know them.
There were signs. You chose to ignore the signs or do the right thing. But yeah, excluding, like, obviously, when you're a young child, you can't, like, we've all gone through some stuff there. You can't do a whole lot there.
But at some point, as an adult,
yeah, no.
you got to take responsibility for yourself, and that shit happened, and it is what it is.
Yeah, your upbringing can be an excuse for a lot, but at some point, you have to decide you're an adult now, and, you know, what are you going to put out in the world? Because you're going to be a product of your upbringing, or are you going to be who you want to be regardless? You know?
Yeah.
Because I come from the two sides. He comes from the drug addict side, like, rough. I come from, like, a half and half. Half of my family is way more city, way more of, like, a drug history and stuff like that. Most of them not here today because they all passed away around 50. You know, they didn't make it much longer than that. My other side of my family, the cookie cutter farmers, like, everybody's got their, their things,
Vices.
but they're all just the great people who done the right stuff, played it safe. Most of them are military and now farmers, and, like, I got to witness both sides, and, like, there's this and this. So you gotta, I could have easily dove the other way instead of diving into being the best person.
Farmer Blake, man.
Yeah, but I love the old metaphor, or the adage of the two sons. The two sons that one grew up to be an alcoholic, like degenerate, and one grew up to be a very successful businessman. And both of their reasoning was, my father was an alcoholic. So you can take what you want from the situation. You can either be the victim and you can play the victim mentality your whole life, or you can decide, yeah, this shit fucking happened to me. It sucked. Now I'm going to change my life and do something better about it.
I think reading The Alchemist was a big thing, too.
Dude, anybody, if you haven't read The Alchemist by, I think it's Paulo Coelho or something like that, I might be saying it wrong.
That right there, the whole book, he's just putting himself, he's putting himself in that position and basically coming to accept that. You know what I mean?
It's a very, very good, and mentally helped me, and I made him read it. Very, very good book for anybody who feels
It's on
stuck.
Spotify.
Yeah,
so
you can listen to the audiobook.
Listen to it on your
and
off time.
freaking Jeremy Irons narrates it.
Yeah, Alfred. Jesus, come on.
Alfred from the new Batman. He's in the Brom from Aragon. Like, if you're like, well, he's got a great voice, so it's super easy to listen to.
He's got
phenomenal book. I would suggest that to anybody. We're pushing past our hour mark here, so let's we'll hit with my two following questions, or ending questions. One, what was the single biggest thing that you think switched your mindset from being never ready to being ready? And two, what would you say to somebody who directly talk to the camera at this point, of who feels that they're in that position of just like they're not quite there, never quite ready?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so what do you mean on your first question? Reiterate that to me a little bit.
Yeah, no, just either the single biggest mental.
I just don't want to give you the same answer.
No, you can take it your way, either way. Like, what was the single biggest either mental shift or actual life change shift, or like what was it that triggered your brain from being like, this is not possible to I'm always got an excuse, to get to the point of being like, okay, you know what, I can make this happen. You know what I mean? Like I know the experience that kind of happened for you, actually getting on the radio and all that, but like, what mentally actually changed for you? Like, what did your inner dialogue become when it, like, what was it before and what is it, now?
I'm a fucking rock star, dude. I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't really. It was that, literally that. In that moment,
good.
they said, "Get up here." You know what I mean?
I've told you since the beginning.
I'm the guy who does stuff on a guitar. And, I squawk around and sing. But in that moment, I was like, "Oh, okay, hold on. It's not just you and your friends anymore that are telling you, oh, you're pretty good. You know what I mean? It's not just the drunk guys at the bar anymore. They're like, oh, you're good."
And you believed it about yourself.
I've got a radio host that's like, hey, this is my job. This is what I do 24/7. Music. Listen to music, tell people the news. That's what I do. He's like, hey, man, come up here and play this for me.
So for you, it was a lot of the external, like the actual justification of what you were doing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yes, and no. I
I've told you since the beginning, and anybody out there for whatever you want to do, for him, it's rock star. No one's gonna believe you're a rock star if you don't believe it first.
Yeah,
You're not gonna get
absolutely.
up there and be like, "I'm the shit." If you get up there and think like, I don't deserve to be here on this little stage," they're gonna read that. They're gonna
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. If you can't convince yourself, there's no way you can convince a room or a stadium or even a small closet full of people that you're a fucking rock star. If you don't believe it, or there's no way you can ever convince anybody else otherwise.
But sometimes, like him here, it's he was going through the motions even before he believed it. And doing that, he ended up receiving the outward justification that he was doing the right thing by, like, getting to the point of radio, getting way more friends. He's got the local pizza guy come and ask for his autograph, delivered the pizza himself for his own business, and had him sign the back of the receit because he wanted his
So I'm
autograph.
paying in cash. He said, "Oh, I know. I need you to sign this receipt."
Yeah,
I
this
said,
is for me.
"Oh, okay, man."
And stuff like that happens. But it all comes from just doing the work. Even if you don't fully believe in yourself, like, you can just start. You don't have to be 100%. Like, we've had all the opposites here. We've had, like, our first episode, my buddy Funk always believed he could do what he wanted. Second episode, we have Tara in here, and she's one of those, like, mentally just decided, you know what, I think I could do this. And then we got Blayd here, who's like, he just kind of, even without believing it, still go through the motions. And then through doing that, ended up believing in yourself more than you thought you could, or more than, getting to the point you never thought you'd be. Which a lot of times, that's what kind of really changes it for you. It's like, we grew up as
If you
skateboarders,
build
man.
it, sometimes you'll show up, motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to build it before you can even make it inside,
We grew up as skateboarders too, so like anybody out there who's ever skated, like when you can't even ollie, you feel like you're never gonna be able to do a kickflip. Like, it's impossible. The second you start landing kickflips and shit, you're like, oh well, maybe I could go do this 360 flip. Maybe I can do a varials. Maybe I can do heel flips.
Build that confidence.
And it's like, it's one of those, like, you're never gonna believe it, but you still keep practicing it, and then you make yourself believe it along the way.
Yep.
But yeah, my final thing would be, what would you want to say to anybody, and this, you talk directly to them, whoever's watching, what would you want to say to somebody who's in that position of just feeling like they're not ready? They don't know. They always have excuses. They're never in the position of going for it.
It depends, man. I mean, if they don't know, they need to meditate. If you don't know what you want with yourself and you're still just floating around, you know what I mean, off in space somewhere, because you don't necessarily know what you want to do, just think on it, man. What did you... It's like that kid, you know what I mean? I seen kids tell you the truth, right? Kids always tell you the truth, no matter what. That's like the truth in a kid, because they just don't have a filter when they're really little, you know what I mean? When they're 2 or 3, they just say it. We had a 2-year-old last night that wouldn't stop dancing. Clearly loved our music. It made you feel good. What did you tell yourself when you were that age? What did you want to do? It's not impossible. It's still not impossible. You want to be a fucking astronaut, motherfucker? Start holding your breath and start training, because it's possible. Absolutely, 100%.
Holding your breath.
I mean, whatever training it requires.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, it's totally possible. It's completely possible. You just got to do it. You got to get out there. You got to start taking the correct steps to move towards your dreams. That's it. That's all it takes. That is all it takes. The first step, it's a doozy, and there's going to be a lot of changes within yourself that you're going to notice, inside and out. You're going to start acting different. You're going to start thinking different. You just got to follow your dreams, man, and it'll get better.
Definitely. Point I'd like to add to that, just from my personal experiences, just start trying stuff, because the first thing you commit to might not be the thing you're going to do forever. I got into all this. I want to make movies, and I still will eventually make movies. Now I'm a full-on music producer. Like, I'm producing music, and it's never something I thought I was going to be doing. I've thought since high school, like, I'm going to make movies. I still intend to do it. But, the path that I quoted it in another episode, but I don't think you've ever heard me talk about it. It's from a movie called, I think, The Last Boy in New York. The lady says to him that the furthest distance that exists in the world is the distance between where you think you're going to be and how you actually get there. Because or it's something along them lines, but you don't know the path and you don't know the end goal, but you know that you have this feeling that you're supposed to be doing something more. or something along those lines, and just start working on that. The way it presents itself to you might be way different than what you were thinking it was going to be, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong.
And what's that other quote that we've said a lot? I don't even remember who it is anymore, but the biggest lie you've ever been told.
Oh, it's a movie. It was a Miles Teller. He was a fighter.
Yeah. Biggest lie you've ever been told is it's not that easy.
Yeah. It's not that simple.
Yeah,
so,
it's
but
not
it's
that
like,
simple.
and she asked what
Yes,
the truth
it
was.
is.
Like, yes, it is. You just do it.
Yes, it is. You just
do the
gotta
thing.
do it.
You know what I mean? That's where we're at now. We just are doing the thing.
Absolutely.
Trying to be the biggest artist in the world for him particularly. So we're recording songs, writing songs, making content, making music videos, doing all the things.
Every single day.
Just do the things, you know? And whatever presents itself, he's gotten to a point now, like I said, he could be very happy and content where he's at now. So the way it presents itself might be different. He's aiming for the biggest artist in the world, but he's making a living off music, you know, and leading a great example for his kids. So the end goal might not be, and we're just getting started, so no, this isn't the end goal. But you never know. It'd present itself an entirely different way than what you think it's going to present
talking about, sorry, I know there's so much we can talk about. We're talking about getting our own building just separate from the house for a studio. That's something big in itself. That's a huge thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, moving it from, it's technically 2 rooms, 3 rooms. We have the instrument room, the studio, and then the booth here we're in. But, man, we're
trucking. We're trucking. We're making moves, and we'll continue to do so.
Doing what we can. But that's all any of you guys can do. Just do what you can. What can you fix today? Don't worry about, the big picture can be overwhelming. What can you do today?
Goal setting.
Do that.
Identify a desired outcome and plan a line of action to achieve it. It's that simple.
Yeah. Well, this has been another episode of Never Ready. I hope that we can, along the lines, help you feel a little bit more ready and a little less like you would never be ready to do what you want. Final remarks, Blayd here can tell you where you can find him, where you can find his music, and anything he's got going on. He can let you know.
Everywhere. So anywhere you stream music, some places you don't even stream music, like Deezer Music, SoundCloud, those little ones, but bigger ones just like Amazon, Spotify, Apple. We got music videos on YouTube. Those are fun to watch. Mm-hmm. So tune in, check us out, show support.
Yep. You can also find Blayd on our other podcast, Caught in the Moment, where you can get a inside view of us actually working on writing songs or making new demos for each episode of that.
If you enjoy live music, check out our Facebooks and Instagram and all that stuff too, because we try to share a couple weeks in advance on where we'll be performing. So.
Pretty much playing every weekend.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope we can help you feel a little bit more like you're ready. You know. All right. Have a good one. Thank you.